Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. I'm your host, the Fellow KGB. You can follow me on Twitter at the Fellow KGB. And today is Thursday evening. It's about 6 p.m. Central Time. We're doing our Thursday night hangout. We're going to go over whatever you guys have in the chat room. We'll just kind of look at some players and some things that have been sticking out to me over the last week. And we're trying to get you guys ready for your playoff push. So I think there's maybe 3 weeks of the regular season left for most leagues. So we'll try to help you guys get to the playoffs and hopefully farther into the playoffs. So how's it going, Mike? Thanks for hanging out tonight. You guys can fill out questions in the chat room. I was trying to look for a way to look at the games from last night because I was looking at some of those numbers. And it was very interesting, some of the guys that stuck out. And there's a lot of guys that are kind of injured. And it seems like all the trades that happened last week, guys are finally starting to get acclimated into their offenses. So maybe we should take a peek at some of these. Maybe we'll go to the players page here. I wanted to look at Chicago and see what they did last night because it seemed like Vujovic and a couple other guys were back and playing. So I'm kind of just going to keep reviewing things that have been going on after the trade deadline here. So Nikola Vujovic played last night his first game. He ended up playing 34 minutes against Phoenix, 24 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, just kind of, filling it all out. So they did end up losing to the Suns, but a pretty good game there from Nikola Vujovic, one of the better games that he's played this year. And then let's actually go and look at, I want to open up the box score for Chicago and see. Oh yeah, man, we love Moses Brown. If you can still get Moses Brown, we are all about picking him up. I'll pull him up in a second here too. Let's actually go to, because I want to look at OKC because OKC is one of those teams right now where I think if you can get someone on OKC, there's going to be a lot of minutes and opportunity, whether it's Theo Maledon, Moses Brown. I think this might be the last opportunity to get a guy like Moses Brown. So just filtering by the last 7 days on the OKC Thunder, he's been their best player. He's averaging 38.8 fantasy points over the last 7 days, and he just continues to have a really good stat line. He's almost like a double-double, automatic double-double. He's playing like Christian Wood in a way. So you're getting a guy that is potentially a 4th or 5th round value right now, almost averaging 40 points per game. So he goes for 20 and 12 last night against the Toronto Raptors, and I think they beat Toronto too. So pretty good sign for the young Oklahoma City Thunder. But Moses Brown, 52.4% owned. I think if you're in a 10-man league, he needs to be owned. 12-man league, you got to go get him right now. So this is probably the last, maybe the last opportunity to get a guy like Moses Brown. So long-term, I think he's going to help people make the playoffs, go far into the playoffs and beyond. So I did want to just pull up the Chicago Bulls because last night they had a couple guys missing from the lineup. No Kobe White. I'm trying to remember who else was not playing here, but Vujovic was their leading scorer with 24 points. The rookie Patrick Williams had a decent game here. Lauri Markkanen had a really decent game. He had a double-double with 10 rebounds, 16 points. And Thaddeus Young continues to be valuable with 10 rebounds and 19 points for himself. Daniel Tice came in, of course, from Boston, only 5 rebounds, but 2 assists, 2 blocks, 6 points. So let me just let's go back to Chicago here. So Kobe White didn't play last night. I don't think Levine played last night either. Yep. Yeah. Levine was out. So there's a lot of minutes and things up for grabs, but we had people kind of asking questions on what to do with Thaddeus Young. Should we get rid of him? But I'm not, until we see signs of like decreased minutes and whatnot, I'm going to continue to hold Thaddeus Young because he's proven to be pretty valuable in his minutes. It almost doesn't even matter what his minutes are. If he hits, the low end of 21 minutes, he's still in those games, he had 22 points and 31 points. So I still like Thaddeus Young. And then as far as Chicago Bulls, I mean, Daniel Tice, let's just keep an eye on Daniel Tice because if he's going to stick in this 20 to 22 minutes, and if you're playing in a 12-man league, this isn't a fantastic game from Tice. He basically did the same thing back-to-back, 20.25 and 20.75. If he starts getting some double-digit games, you're going to see some better games. So keep an eye on Daniel Tice. He is under 16% owned. So we got Nurkic for Robert Williams. I've been telling people to pick up Robert Williams for a while now. So it's unfortunate he missed last night, but I think he's good to go for tomorrow night. He's not listed on the injury report for tomorrow night's game. So I think the thing with Robert Williams, and now that Tice is gone, I still don't know if Tristan Thompson's ready to go with being back from COVID, but we want him to sit somewhere in this 26 to 32 minutes per game because when he does, he's going to average, probably 35 points per game around there. So I really like Robert Williams. He I think a week or two ago was the last chance to get him. So if you can still get him, this is a really good move. He's about 66% owned, and he's just gonna continue to get more minutes for the Celtics down the stretch. So I like Robert Williams quite a bit. I did want to pull up some other things here. Devin Booker went off for 45 last night in this game. I was kind of monitoring that. But Chicago Bulls, if you're a Bulls fan, to only lose by 5 to the Suns, Devin Booker goes off for 45. You don't have Kobe White or Levine. I think the Bulls are going to be a fun team to watch as they get closer to their playoff stretch here. And yeah, so Boucher, Chris Boucher, the old Boucher. Let me pull up. Let's talk about the Raptors right now because, one, Gary Trent Jr. had himself a pretty good game last night. I noticed that. So let's go to Toronto here. We'll average over the last 7 days. I should probably click on all available here. So Boucher's been frustrating. He had that incredible like January through February stretch here, but he's like a fringe owned guy right now. I think in 12-man leagues, he's still 86.4% rostered, but he's got a high floor. So that's kind of nice. If you had to drop Boucher, you're basically just looking to get someone that's going to get over 20 points per game for sure. But the thing that's concerning about Chris Boucher is the minutes, the 19, the 16, the 24 is nice. That's what you want him to kind of hit every game. But then a 12, a 17, a 22, a 13. So some concerning minutes things with Chris Boucher. So if you're in a 12-man league, I don't know if he's necessarily a must-have, but I noticed Gary Trent Jr. last night had himself a pretty good game here. He ended up with 36 minutes, 31 points, and he's not much of a guy that's going to get rebounds, assists, and steals. He can do it in spurts, but back-to-back 30-point games for Gary Trent Jr. here. So his first couple games weren't that great with the Raptors, but all of a sudden you see some pretty good things happening here. So back-to-back 30-point fantasy games, only 30% rostered. Keep an eye on Gary Trent if you need someone there. He could be kind of a guy that's going to get a lot of work. Especially down the stretch here, a team like the Raptors, they're what? Let me pull up the NBA standings here. I think they're maybe the 11th or 12th team in the East, and now they're losing to the Thunder. So the Raptors are one of those teams that's kind of on a sinking ship right now. So they're let's see here. They're 5 games behind 8th place here. They have to catch up to the Bulls. I think the Bulls are going to stay ahead of them, but not really good here for the Raptors right now. And then let me see if there's anybody else that sticks out. I like Gary Trent Jr., Fred VanVleet, of course. OG Anunoby's a really solid player right now. But as far as owning Raptors, I think it's just kind of these top guys. We'll see if Lowry can get back into the mix here, but nobody else really sticks out for Toronto. So let's see here. What should we do with Larry Nance? Did Larry come back yet? Let's pull him up. He was playing so well at the beginning of the season. So there he is. So what's this day-to-day stuff? He's not playing tonight against Philly. He's got an illness. There's a chance the Cavs could they're getting Kevin Love back tonight. I think I saw that come through, but he's going to be on a minutes restriction. So what really bugs me is that ESPN does this day-to-day stuff. Like if a guy's out, they should just do out. But I think you got to hold, like just looking at these numbers and with Kevin Love coming back, I mean, this is a tough position. I think I would hold and just see what Kevin Love does. Maybe just hold him for one more week and see how it goes. But Larry Nance is just so productive when he plays. And even if he, kind of hits this 27 minutes, he can still be very productive with it. So I think I'm going to hold onto Larry Nance, and we'll see what they do with Kevin Love down the stretch. We had to drop off Norman Powell. Yeah, Norman Powell. This kind of a weird trade for the Raptors, in my opinion. Norman was one of their best players. Let's go to Portland here. Norman Powell. So his minutes are looking okay. You see 34, 27, 36. I'm okay with that. I think his consistency is going to be a little bit off, though, because all of a sudden you put him in with Damian Lillard and McCollum and a couple of their other scorers that can pop off. His nights are going to be a little bit more inconsistent. But if you can get, I guess we want to avoid these 16-point games, but it looks like he's going to settle somewhere in the 30 range here. So I'm curious, Mike, Mr. Mike Butter, how many players are in your team? Is it an 8-team league, a 10-team league? How many guys you got in your league? What's going on, Rudolphs, man? Thanks for hanging out. Hope you're doing well. But we're just kind of looking at some things. CJ McCollum's been having some really nice games. It's good to see him back and healthy. It took him a little while to get rolling here with the minutes, but all of a sudden he's back to pre-injury form here. So he's just filling out the stat column for us. So if you were fortunate enough to hold on to CJ McCollum right now, we're looking pretty dang good. But I did want to, so it's an 8-team. So just a question for you. So like on your waiver wire in an 8-team league, like what is like, if here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. If we go to here, I'm just going to click on all, and if I just click on available, so this is what I'm looking at here is a 12-man league, and if I just look at percent rostered, some of the highest owned guys I can get are like under 50%. So I'm curious, like what's your threshold there? Is it guys that are like under 60%, 70%? Like what kind of guys are you looking for on your waiver wire? Rudolphs is asking, do you think we should sell Lakers players because they just got 10 games in 3 playoff weeks? Let's see here. Oh, I'll pull that up here. Pull up that schedule that we had going on here. See if I can find it. So the NBA schedule here. So this is the remaining games left on the slate here. Playoff weeks are weeks 18 through 20. And if we filter here for the playoff weeks, it was the Clippers. The Clippers have 10 games remaining. So I'm not excited, especially in the final 3 weeks. The Clippers only have 3 games week 18 and 3 games week 19. So they're the only team that has that in those first 2 weeks. And they do have 4 for the championship run. But even looking at week 17, they only have 9 games through 3 weeks. So if you wanted to go ahead and trade for someone that's, looking at the top here, guys that have or teams that have 13 games during that playoff stretch, but also, have 4 games during week 17. So you're stealing a little bit extra off the top. Anyone from Memphis, San Antonio, Dallas, I'm kind of interested in if you could pull a guy, from one of those teams and move out Paul George or move out Kawhi Leonard. I'm open to it, but you still have some time here. I don't think most people are looking at something like this like we would be. So you still have some time. But if you can get someone for your Clippers, I think I would recommend doing it. And just looking at the championship week, there's a handful of teams here that have 5 games. So like if you can collect Grizzlies, Spurs, Pacers, or Bucks, that would be really a prime move there to do before the week 20. And if you're looking just strictly for that first playoff week, you got Dallas, Toronto, and OKC. So maybe let's take a peek at OKC, because I'm super interested in OKC because we know Al Horford is pretty much just done, and SGA is out with plantar fasciitis. I think I just saw a news update on him. He's going to be reevaluated in mid-April. So if he's being reevaluated in mid-April, we might not even see him, to the last week of April. Who knows? So there is potential we don't get to see SGA back during the fantasy regular season. So kind of unfortunate there. Let me just look at something real quick. I'm just curious to see the NBA just for timeline and schedule. Let's see here. If I just let's go to scoreboard. So week 17, this is the last weekend of my regular season. So April 19th through the 25th. So maybe like SGA should be good to go for the fantasy playoffs. So that's good to know. Let me see what we got going on in some of these. So 60 to 70%. We can look at some of those guys. Let's pull it up. I haven't updated it in a couple weeks. I don't know if games have been shifted or anything. Let's just look at hashtag basketball. What's going on, Aiden, man? Thanks for hanging out tonight. Advanced schedule grid. And week 20, let's see here. Who's got the 5 games? So there's the 4 teams with the 5 games. And I know the Clippers play 4 in that last week. So they're the Clippers. The Clippers only have 3, and week 18, I think the Clippers again only have 3. So that is correct. The Clippers do only have 10 games the rest of the way from weeks 18 through 20. Yeah, we just looked at Gary Trent a little bit ago. I was telling people to pick him up. I think he's under 30% owned. I can't remember what that was. Let me go back to where is it? Toronto, real quick. No worries, Rudolphs. No worries. So yeah, I really don't know what to do with our Raptors here, but Gary Trent Jr. again, 30% owned, and he's had two really, really nice games back to back, 39.5 and 32 fantasy points here. So if you're in a 12-man league, this is a guy that probably needs to be picked up at this point. He's just gonna step into Norman Powell's workload. So if you kind of just switch those two in your head, you're essentially picking up what Norman Powell left behind. So I like that quite a bit. Let me see what else I have here for you guys. But just looking at OKC real quick, I noticed, I think Theo Maledon's at that point. Now that SGA's out, we know he's going to be out pretty much all of April. So you could probably get 3 full weeks of Theo Maledon being the starting point guard. You look at his minutes, just the last handful of days, it's been up. His points have been up. He's almost over double digits at all times. His rebounding is actually pretty nice for a point guard, and then he just needs to get consistent with the assists. But I also like the steals coming in pretty regularly too. So he's developing a pretty safe floor. If you play in 10 or 12-man leagues, I think he can be someone that helps us there. Isaiah Roby is a guy that probably needs to be looked at too. He's been getting good 30-minute per games. He's been flirting with some double doubles lately, but I like his steals and his blocks column. So he'll have a whatever kind of game every now and then, but he's got some some really nice ceiling games kind of sprinkled throughout there. Let's see this trade offer. Trade Rudy Gobert, Paul George, and Murray for Beal and Sabonis. Let's take a look at this. Let's enter this stuff into the chat here. We're going to do our compare players tab. So Rudy, Mr. George. Oh man, and Murray. Is that Jamal or Deontay? Mr. Rudolph's there. I'm just gonna put both of them in there for now, and we can separate that later. But we got Murray, and then you would be getting Bradley Beals and Sabonis. Sabonis got an injury last night. Okay, so it is Jamal. So I'm gonna remove Deontay. So over the last 7 days, Bradley Beal continues to be out, which is weird. He's not playing tonight with that hip injury. I don't think I like this deal for you quite yet. You're giving up a lot of points here, almost 40 probably from someone in that deal. So I think I'm going to hold. If you can get it down to a 2 for 2, I'd be more interested in a 2 for 2. But a 3 for 2, I don't know if that's something that we want to do. And then again, Sabonis, he came back last night, but he got a little bit of a quad injury last night, bruised quad. But he's been pretty durable this season. But I don't know. I don't like it. I would like it more if it was a 2 for 2. If you could somehow figure out how to get that, make sure you keep one of your good players there. Dennis Smith, Delon Wright, and Rui Hachimura. Let's here. I want to go to my watch list. I think I had some of these guys on here. So Dennis Smith, is he still starting? Let's look at his last 7 days. So he's coming off the bench tonight. So keep an eye on Dennis Smith. When he was getting starter minutes, he was playing, he was putting up 33, 46, a couple of not so great games, but he had that nice triple-double back on March 3rd here. So he's going to be coming off the bench tonight. So keep an eye on Dennis Smith Jr. if he looks good tonight. And the Pistons are just a scrap heap for playing time right now. So I could see him getting more work. And then Delon Wright, who got sent to Sacramento all of a sudden here. I don't love the minutes. I don't like this weird, this wide spectrum of minutes here. I like this 30, 41, 35, 35. If he starts getting his minutes up, I kind of like Delon Wright. But I think in a 12-man league, he's kind of on the fence right now. There might be some other guys that I like. Let's see here. We're gonna look at Hamadoo Diallo in a little bit. The only thing that sucks is I picked up Diallo and he's taken the night off on a back-to-back. So Rui, about 64% owned. He needs to be owned in 10-team, 12-man leagues, maybe even an 8-man league. But his minutes are just rock solid. In his last 7 days, he's averaging almost 6.5 more minutes. His points are up. His rebounds are up. The assists are up. Steals and blocks are kind of whatever. But Rui Hachimura, definitely agree with this one. If you can get him on your team, you're looking pretty good. So let me pull up Hamadoo Diallo. I think Diallo was on my watch list on Monday night. So he's about 26% owned. He hasn't played too much with the Pistons, but in his last 2 games, 26 and 27 minutes, he scored 19 points in each game, 7 rebounds, 10 rebounds, solid assists, and he just tacks in a steal or a block. This is a guy that I really want to acquire down the stretch here. If he's going to continue almost getting 27 minutes per game, he's going to be very valuable. He's one of their better scorers, and he also you have that safety net where if he has like a 10-point game, he's going to get some other points for you throughout the columns here. But the only thing that's frustrating is he's got the groin. I don't know how severe this is, but he's being held out tonight. So the second night of a back-to-back, he's kind of on a load management situation right now. But I do think, let's see the schedule here. They do play on Saturday here, which could be nice. And then, look, they got another back-to-back here. So I'm a little bit nervous if they start benching him on the back-to-backs. But add him if you can, if you can hold on to him and see what happens here. But he's looking pretty good. Jamal. Yep. It's a little weird with I don't know why. I thought I would like it with Powell on the team here, but I don't know if it really made them better or anything. Let's take a look here at the Blazers. So the last 7 days, CJ McCollum's been on a tear, guys. So Cantor, I'm actually kind of thinking with Nurkic back, you see the 18 minutes and the 27 minutes. I mean, he's still getting his points. He's getting his 8 and 8, but only about 20 fantasy points here. I'm a little bit nervous about Cantor's value. As long as Nurkic is healthy, I would expect Nurkic's minutes to continue to go up as well. You can see that probably ramp up into the mid-20s, maybe with the upper 20s by the end of the season. But if you just look at his last 7 days compared to his season stats, they're going to try to get him almost 23 minutes per game. So this is going to take away a little bit from Cantor. And then Carmelo, let's see what Carmelo's been doing. So he's been a little bit more inconsistent of late. I think a lot of this has to do with McCollum kind of being back and into form. It's all going to go back to Lillard, McCollum, and then Cantor and Nurkic will kind of gobble up some things. Robert Covington, I think people are very happy with. Like, I have no problem with Covington. He's a guy that I would want to try to acquire if I could in a trade. Let's see here. Is that for your trade here? I think I would still in this trade offer. I still think I would want, if you can get maybe one more guy in that trade, even if it's a lesser guy, I'd be a little bit more happy with it. But if you can get a guy that averages anywhere between 25 and 30 points, I would do it. I like Beal quite a bit, but I would try to get maybe one more piece of that to make that feel better. Devontae Graham or Marcus Smart? Let's take a look here. So these are last 7 days. They're about 2 points off. Last 15 days, it's tipping towards Marcus Smart. Last 30 days kind of comes back down here. But on the season, it's going to tip Marcus Smart here. So what's Devontae Graham up to? So I like the minutes. The points are kind of nice too. Not a big rebounding guard. Assists are solid here. But what's Marcus Smart been doing? He's been playing a lot of minutes. I think long-term, I'll go with Marcus Smart. Yeah, he's playing very well right now. I think I would go with Marcus Smart in this one. Yep. Yeah, Robert Covington, man. I think he's a guy you'd want to acquire here. So we traded LeBron, and I think that's Jaylen Brown for Paul George, CJ, and Hayward. Wow. Well, I mean, you're looking great right now with LeBron out for the next 2-3 weeks. LeBron will probably turn it on maybe towards the end of the year, but that's not for sure. But you got Paul George, CJ, and Hayward for LeBron. I mean, that's looking really good right now. That's looking really good right now, Rudolph. So I think that worked out very well. And Jakob Poeltl, what's his percent ownership right now? Let's take a look at the Spurs. And if he's available in your league, he needs to be picked up. Here, let me filter by all. So Pirtle, he's only 43.4% known. This is the guy you're looking for. Even Mike Butter in the chat, man, if you're in an 8-man league, he needs to be owned. Like, just look at some of these numbers here. His minutes have been flirting over 30 minutes for, finally here. He's going to flirt with a double-double every night, and then just look at the blocks. He can kind of go in bunches here. So Pirtle, really nice player here. Under 50% owned too. So this is a guy I think needs to be owned in 8, 10, 12-man leagues for sure. And yeah, the Magic. What do we think about the Orlando Magic? Because I said, like, the other night, like, their box score was just kind of like just filled out with tons of people. And I think Terrence Ross is just going to continue getting healthier here. So let me just look at this. I mean, they beat the Clippers. I think Paul George wasn't playing in that one. But Okiki played really nice as a starter here, 18 points. He's basically filling in for the Aaron Gordon role the rest of the way. But Wendell Carter Jr. I thought played pretty well. Otto Porter Jr. both juniors played really well. I think Michael Carter Williams is out tonight. And that Mo Bamba even played well. He only had 18 minutes, but he put 12 and 8 on the board here. Terrence Ross will probably continue to get more minutes there, but he shot the ball pretty well. But I don't know, the Magic, man. I think we're gonna have to take a stand on some Magic players at some point here. But I just want to see how the minutes get shaken out eventually. Yeah, I think if you could trade Nurkic right now while he's healthy and he's kind of got that name value, is that Kevin Porter Jr., McConnell, Pirtle, Wendell? Yeah, I think I would be okay with letting those guys go. Yeah, if you can get Moses Brown, I'm sure you already have him, but Moses Brown, definitely probably my favorite pickup at the moment right now. Yeah, man. Happy Easter, Rudolphs. Have a good night. Thank you for hanging out with us, man. We'll see you in another episode. Yeah, and I don't know. My thing lately, the last few weeks, I've just been talking about these kind of garbage teams that they're gonna play their young talent. Guys like OKC, Orlando, Detroit. The Cavaliers are pretty much capped, but let's see what else here. OKC, the Rockets are going to be a team that gets a lot of young minutes. The Timberwolves are going to get a lot of young minutes. Just these teams, man, they're going to offer us a lot of fantasy value. So if you can get kind of fall into some of these guys here. Whoa, I haven't seen this. Let's take a look here at Kevin Durant. So I still have him as out. He's doubtful. This is doubtful for Sunday's game against the Bulls. What? That's the April 1st date here. So he's still there. I'm still seeing he's doubtful for Chicago in New York. So maybe at some point next week I think he's getting close. I think he's getting close. I'm trying to trade Harrell and Ayton. Who should I try to get? Let's pull up those names real quick. Trying to trade Harrell. So are you trying to do a 2-for-1 here, Aiden? Or are you trying to get a 2-for-2? I always like doing even trades, whether it's 2-for-2, 1-for-1. Those are typically the ones that I find the most success to go through. But Harrell now with we should probably look. I want to look at Drummond's numbers real quick. Day to day. Right toe bruise. Maybe I'd maybe hang on to Harrell for the next couple of days and see if Harrell can pop off for some big numbers. They got Drummond's not going to be there, so I still like Harrell kind of a lot here. But if you're trying to trade, are you trying to do a 2-for-1 here? So essentially, Ayton averages about 30 the last 7 days. Harrell averages about 35, so you're looking at 65. On the season combined, they're about 60. So with those numbers, like we're talking like you should be able to get a superstar. I don't know what league this is. Is this for your 4-man league where you're trying to cash up and get into some higher numbers here? I mean, if I have Jokic, I'm not trading Jokic, but that's you're potentially looking at someone that's going to average more than 50, 55 points per game. And then you're going to probably just play the waiver wire. So this is a 12 person. Okay. So I would look at teams that are like not guaranteed to make the playoffs. Teams that are in that 6th, 7th, 8th standings range there, and see if because they're going to want more players to get their numbers up. So if you're looking pretty good, and you want to send Ayton and Harrell. Maybe are you trying to maybe get a center out of the deal here to replace your centers there? Let me just see here if we go to all. And let's just filter by average here. I mean, of course, if you can get Jokic, that would be the ideal move here. It sounds like Embiid's coming back soon. He's been ruled out, but could be available for Saturday's matchup. If you can get him, like if you want to, get in early on Embiid, I wouldn't mind. I'd take Vujovic. I'd take Towns. I think you're looking at someone in these top numbers here. I don't know if I would settle for Sabonis or Randall. I think you should shoot for the moon there. Will Love be shut down for the season like Horford because I have him right now? If I would go pick up Jakob Poeltl for sure, because we got no concerns with Poeltl the rest of the season, and with Kevin Love, it just always seems like something, and they got a lot of guys. He's starting at center tonight, so Love is starting tonight. He's going right now. He's got 12 fantasy points in 6 minutes. But he's just man. I think I would let somebody else take it, and just give me the sure thing with Poeltl here. I think that's a pretty good strategy there. And Kevin Porter Jr. I'm a big Kevin Porter Jr. fan. Did you guys see him on? You see what he did on on James Harden last night? I'll show you guys here. So this is a nifty little move here on James Harden. It's an and one too. So I'm if you can get again, I should have included the Rockets in those teams that are just going to continue to play their young players. You see his last 3 games, 31, 36, 31 minutes, 2 games over 20 points. I think I would snag him if I can. And not too long ago, he had 4 out of 5 games over 40 points. So we'll see if his minutes can get up. So I definitely like Kevin Porter kind of a bit here. That might work, man. If you can get Joel Embiid, you could maybe even if you wanted to if you don't want to send the 2 centers, I don't know if you could send a center and then a guy that averages like 25 a game or something. If you want to maybe hold on to one of the centers, I might be okay with keeping Ayton and then sending Montrezl Harrell and then someone else towards the end of your bench there. Yeah, Kevin Love's in tonight. Trying to clear up a spot for kids' return for my centers, looking like Nurk, Boucher, Collins, and Moses without them. If you can sell him Boucher and let him pick one of Ayton and Harrell, maybe you can do that. If you just say pick which one you want between Ayton and Harrell, and then you can have Boucher. Maybe that's the way to go. What's up with John Collins? I thought I saw him get injured. Let's see here. So John Collins, he underwent an MRI diagnosed with lateral ankle sprain, has been associated with a bone bruise. He's going to be reevaluated in 1 week. Go get Clint Capella. Let's go trade for Clint Capella if you can. You guys remember when Clint Capella was on that nasty rebound streak in mid-February? I think John Collins, maybe he's out a week for sure, maybe 2 weeks. I would go get Clint Capella right now, I think, if I could. You're going to try to pick up. If you can get Kevin Durant, man, try it. You can send Ayton, and I think that would work. Ayton and Harrell for Kevin Durant. Let's try that. A lot of it too is just I don't like sending trades to people without talking to them. I think that's probably my biggest trade advice is to get a hold of them. Whatever texting or messaging app that you got to use. I think that would be my best advice for you guys. But I want to just look at, let's try to find some sleepers that have been popping off here. So one of my favorite ways to filter, if you've watched the show, I like to just look at everybody available. We're going to filter by points scored over the last 7 days. And then I'm just looking at the percent roster column to see who sticks out that, anyone that's, not 99% owned. So Robert Williams, guys, I think he's a top top 60 player, top 50 player the rest of the season here. I know he missed last night with an illness, but this is a guy that's if his minutes start flirting around 30 minutes per game, you're probably getting a guy that's going to average 40 points. So he's probably one of my favorite trade candidates right now. If someone has him and they don't really know what they have in him, he just missed a game, so it might be worth a chance or worth a try to pick up Robert Williams if you can. So like the 12-person leagues, you got Lillard, Mitchell, Kawhi, Montrez, Nurkic, Harden, Boucher, Ayton, Collins, Moses, CJ, Fox, Levine, and KD. Oh man. So yeah, you're looking pretty good, man. If you get, so yeah, I guess what I would do is, I mean, you're probably just going to move Collins to IR when KD returns if you can. I'm assuming you only have one IR spot, if that's correct. I don't know. I would offer up Montrezl Harrell, or you can even offer up Nurkic if someone's excited about them. But let someone choose between Montrezl Harrell and DeAndre Ayton, and then see if they're interested in Boucher or something like that. But let's see who else sticks out here on the list. So Malik Monk, he missed the other night here, but Malik Monk was putting up some points. So he's going to play tonight against Brooklyn. 2-game absence with a sore foot, but the couple games before his injury, 32 points against Miami, 19 against Houston. He doesn't really fill out the rest of the column, so he's kind of like a Terrence Ross, just like purely a scorer. But keep an eye on Malik Monk. He's only 13.4% rostered, and just with the Hornets, kind of they have like a lack of depth. He's going to be a pretty good scorer for them the rest of the way, I think. And the Hornets, man, sitting here at the 4 seed. So I don't know, Malik Monk. Keep an eye on what's going on over there in Charlotte. Let's keep it scrolling. There's Larry Nance Jr. And with Kevin, the thing too with Kevin Love, I think Mike had Kevin Love, and he's picking up Pirtle. Larry Nance is just going to kind of eat into Kevin Love's minutes too, so it's kind of a mess there for Kevin Love. But I think I'm holding on to Larry Nance maybe not in an 8-man, depends on the minutes going forward, but just give him a couple more games with Kevin Love and we'll see how it shakes out. Moses Brown, man, he's a top 50 player, I think, the rest of the season. Let's lock that in. Okay, here's the one that I was looking for. It's Kelly Olynyk. The Houston Rockets, man, they made those moves with a handful of teams here, and just look at what Kelly Olynyk's done in his 3 games with the Houston Rockets. 25 minutes, 34 minutes, 25, but the scoring for him is up. The rebounds, assists, he's a good blocker, stealer. But his minutes, season stats versus last 7 days, but roughly the same in minutes. But he's getting 8 more points per game right now. Rebounds, a little bit about the same. Assists are a little bit up, but steals and blocks are up. So I think Kelly Olynyk, let me actually just filter. Let's go ahead and filter. Here, we'll go to this one. We're going to filter by Houston. I just think a lot of these kind of crummy teams, man, they're going to give some players some heavy minutes. And Kelly Olynyk, over the last 7 days, he's been the 3rd best player for Houston in terms of fantasy. So I like Kelly Olynyk quite a bit. He's 32.4% rostered. He's just going to be kind of like, your everyday garbage man. Go get your points for fantasy. Malik Monk is Jalen Green floor. Yep. I think that's accurate. And Aldridge is starting tonight. Let's see. Did we got some games tipping off yet? Philly, Cleveland, and Charlotte, Brooklyn tonight. That's going to be a good game. We'll see if Brooklyn or we'll see if Charlotte can do some things. Let's take a look at Detroit's box score. See what's going on. So Westbrook, 11 points. Rui Hachimura, 8 points. Jerome Robinson getting a start for Bradley Beal. Jeremy Grant. Sadiq Bey, 6 quick points tonight. And Josh Jackson's been kind of just in a funk lately. So he had 0 points the other night in 19 minutes. I like Josh Jackson a lot, but he's just been so inconsistent of late. You see his season stats compared to his last 7-day stats. He's actually a pretty useful player earlier in the year, so we'll keep an eye on Josh Jackson going forward, see if he can stack some success. But 14 points in the first 15 minutes of the game. Let's take a look at Philly real quick. Seth Curry having a good game, 3 of 5 from the 3, 11 points so far. Let's see. Mike Scott got the start tonight. Interesting. And Kevin Love's got 13 points and 3 rebounds, man. This is interesting. I want to get back to finding some of those players that fall through the cracks. So Kelly Olynyk's probably one of my favorite pickups at the moment. Here, I gotta hit the filter button. So there's Kelly Olynyk for you guys, 32.4%. Jakob Poeltl is right there. So the guys that we've talked a lot about, I think Kelly Olynyk, Jakob Poeltl, Moses Brown, and where was it? Malik Monk? We'll keep an eye on him, and then Robert Williams, of course. Those are some of the top guys to potentially pick up or trade for right now. I don't know anything about this Isaiah Hartenstein. He's playing pretty well so far. 4 points, 4 boards, 2 blocks throughout tonight. He hasn't really gotten a lot of opportunity so far this year, but if he starts putting up, mid-20s for minutes, we're just going to add him to the watch list and see what happens with Isaiah Hartenstein. Let's keep it rolling. Rui Hachimura is one of the guys that Mike suggested here. He's about 64% owned. Chuma Okeke having some good – he's been consistent lately. You look at those last 4 games, I think I would take that if he would just keep repeating that on a 4-game basis. That's definitely a player that needs to be owned. So I like the scoring here. Solid and he kind of just fills everything out here. So it looks like he's got a pretty solid floor. So let's definitely look at Okeke going forward. Nikhil. So I think the Pelicans are shorthanded tonight. I think they're without Lonzo. I think they're without Zion, and they might be without Ingram tonight. So if you need, it's probably too late. But if you need someone for tonight, Nikhil Walker. It's going to be a good ad against Orlando tonight. And he's actually been playing really solid. You look at his numbers since Lonzo Ball's been out. Nikhil Alexander-Walker is playing some good ball right now. There is Sean Tate. So, again, Houston, this guy's pretty steady. He's getting starter minutes. He's averaging, double figures. He's going to get rebounds. And he does some things on the defensive side of the ball here, too. So, I really like these numbers. If this is the worst guy in your team in a 12-man league, you're probably, feeling pretty dang good. So over his last 7 days, he's averaging 31.3 points per game. Really steady minutes, too, 33, 33, 33. The scoring just he kind of goes in scoring in bunches, but his floor games, you look at a game here, 9, 4, and 5 assists, 21.5 points. That's been his worst game over the last 6 games. So Sean Tate looking kind of good for Houston. I still don't know why Kyle Kuzma is so low owned. He's less than 60% owned. He's averaging 30.4 points per game the last 7 days. No LeBron, no AD, no Drummond for the next couple games. So Kuzma, if Mike is still here in an 8-man league, Kyle Kuzma should be owned for sure. Tyler Hero, Terrence Mann. So here's a clipper for you guys. So he's been getting some starter minutes. You look at his season stats compared to his last 7 days. He's up about 13 minutes per game. His scoring is up almost 8 points. He's up 3 rebounds per game, 3.5 assists, and steals and blocks are pretty similar here. But this is a guy that's getting a lot of opportunity. So Terrence Mann, only 11% owned. This is definitely one to add to the watch list and maybe scoop up here. We talked about Theo Maledon. He's almost averaging 30 points over the last 7 days, so I like him quite a bit. Derek White's been playing well with Lonnie Walker out. I don't know when Walker comes back, probably pretty soon. But the last the last 2 weeks of basketball, this is Derek White's playing like someone who needs to be owned. So he's up to 28.9 fantasy points per game over the last 7 days. Derek White. Kem Birch, I tried Kem Birch, but it hasn't been. He had a massive 56-point game, so it kind of skews it. There's Isaiah Roby. Again, Hamadoo Diallo. He might be sitting on some back-to-backs, but these are prime numbers for fantasy. So I've actually got him in my other league here. I think I would take Kuzma. Especially we know LeBron and AD are out for a while, and Kuzma, man, just look at his minutes. We don't know what's going on with Larry Nance. We don't know what's going on with Kevin Love's minutes. And Kevin Love, if Kevin Love gets hurt again, then Larry Nance might be useful. But I think for now, the safe call is to just pick up Kuzma. A bad game from Kuzma happens every now and then, a 21-point game. I don't know what happened against Cleveland here, only 4 points. But I like Kuzma kind of quite a bit here. Just he's safe. So start bench cut: Jakob Poeltl, Jaden McDaniels, and Sean Tate. Let me pull these guys up over here. So let's do compare. We'll pull up Sean. We'll pull up Jaden. And my guy, Poeltl the Turtle. Okay, so last 7 days stats. Poeltl's in the lead with 37 points. Tate's at 31, and McDaniels is, sitting at about 29. The last 15 days, it's going to make Poeltl's the guy we're starting, I think. We're going to use him for sure. Sean Tate's looking like the second man, though. I kind of like what I'm seeing from Sean Tate. And I like McDaniels. He's getting a ton of minutes the last 4 games here. His scoring is looking pretty nice. Let's see here. That's tough. 36, 38, 36, 33 minutes. Like these are quality starter minutes here. He continues to start. I think it's a toss-up. I might be okay with keeping McDaniels. I'm starting Jakob Poeltl for sure. Maybe just keep McDaniels. He's playing really good. The last 7 days though, him and Tate are basically the same, a point or two difference here, so that's more of a preference call. I think I would keep Sean Tate and let McDaniels walk, but both guys need to be owned. If we're looking at a 12-man league, all 3 of these guys need to be owned. And Poeltl for sure. Like we got Mike playing in an 8-man league. He's probably one of the best guys that you can pick up for the rest of the season here. So fun show tonight, guys. Thank you for hanging out. Let me see if I can find a couple more dandies off the waiver wire here. What do we think of Kyle Anderson in Memphis? He started off the season so well, but he's been kind of inconsistent lately. I think in a 10 or 12-man league, he still needs to be owned. Maybe not so much. He's kind of fringe ownership in an 8-man. And then, did you guys see what Bogdan Bogdanovich did the other night? 46.5 fantasy points, 22 points, 4 boards, 6 assists, 4 steals. So that one, definitely stuck out. The minutes too. He's never had that much more minutes. He hasn't had that many minutes before in Atlanta. So I'm definitely keeping an eye on Bogdan. Actually, I picked him up in this one, and I got him for that 46.5 game. Let's see here. Start bench cut: Kelly Olynyk, Duncan Robinson, and Kyle Anderson. I think I already know where I'm leaning. I've held on to Kelly Olynyk all year, and I cut him the week he got traded. So I have Olynyk in one league, and my other league I don't have him in. And I'm nervous for Duncan Robinson and his minutes. And then Kyle Anderson here. All right, so last 7 days, Kelly Olynyk's the leader for sure. Anderson second, Duncan Robinson third. But Duncan Robinson's getting more minutes between the three. Over the last 15 days, it's going to go Anderson number 1, Olynyk 2. So I think I'm cutting Duncan Robinson. I just don't like the inconsistency. He'll throw an 11, he'll throw an 8 at you. His floor is, sometimes around 18. He doesn't have the ceiling that I like there. He doesn't really fill out the rest of the box score consistently. He's kind of purely a points play. Whereas Olynyk, he's scoring more points, but Olynyk was valuable on the Miami Heat. And you see this stretch run here of just when he was getting big minutes, consistently 37, 35, 33, 34 minutes, this was almost second tier elite fantasy basketball production here. So I think Olynyk's the best hold. So we're going to start him. I think we're going to bench Kyle Anderson. We'll hold on to him, and I just think you can find other guys on the waiver wire like Duncan Robinson. I'd rather give me McDaniels or Sean Tate over Duncan Robinson at this point right now. Both of those guys are lower ownership than Duncan Robinson. Robinson just kind of has the name brand there that gets him more owned. Let's go back to this list. I'll see if I can find anybody else here that sticks out. We talked about Hartenstein. Let me go to the bottom here. There's Jaden McDaniels there with 28.6 over the last 7 days. Alec Burks. What do we do with Alec Burks here? He's a pretty good scorer. The thing is, like, his minutes are just so hit or miss. And if he's not getting those minutes, he's not getting the points. You see the last 2 games, only 16 and 14 fantasy points. But when he gets starter minutes, he puts up 20 points per game. So if you hear that Alec Burks is starting tonight, that would be the time to pick him up. And then you got Zubox here, cracking the list here with 27.8 fantasy points per game over the last 7 days. These numbers are looking pretty good for Zubox. I think in a 12-man league, he should be picked up. He's gonna throw in some blocks every now and then, but the double factor, he's only 50% owned. So in a 10 or 12-man league, I think I'd be open to Zubox being available for me. And then Nerlens Noel. Mitchell Robinson with the fractured foot. Noel didn't play great last night. It looks like 24 minutes. Not much going on here, but if he picks it back up and gets these 30 minutes per game, and I think Nerlens Noel could be a guy that's useful in 12-man leagues. Yeah, I like Noel. It just, why does it seem like he can always be better? Like, he's never really realized his potential in the NBA yet. So he's got opportunity right now. So 10 and 12-man leagues, he's still under 23% owned. So we're hoping Thibodeau gives him some. That thing is, like, you look at his stretch from like February and March, like he was getting 40 minutes per game. I think that was when Robinson and Gibson were both out. He was putting up some massive numbers here. So if he can avoid, these 10-point clunkers, but even then, if you look at these 3 games, that's what, 33, 36. So that's 60, roughly 70 points, and then 10 more is 90 points. So 90 points in 3 games, he's averaging almost 30 there. So I think, why can't I do math right now? That's 70 points. So 80 points. 80 divided by 3 is roughly 23 points per game. So he's solid. Let me look at this start bench cut here. So Terrence, Mann, Burke, and Reggie Jackson. Here, let me clear this. So we got Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann's he kind of popped up out of nowhere. I like him kind of quite a bit here. Is this Trey Burke or Alec Burks? It can't be Trey Burke. You're not talking Trey Burke, are you? It's got to be Alec Burks. And then Reginald Jackson. So over the last 7 days, I see Jackson caught up. So I think Terrence Mann, he's probably the guy that I like the most. Like, the minutes have been really steady the last couple weeks here. Good score, but he's also the thing about him is he's gonna rebound. He's gonna pass the ball. He doesn't get a lot of steals and blocks, but he's very active in the other columns. Whereas with Reggie Jackson, he kind of just goes in these weird minute spurts, depending on like Beverly and other injuries here. So I think I'm starting Terrence Mann right now, and then it's between Burks. It's between Burks and Reggie Jackson here. So I'll hold on to Burks and we'll let Reggie Jackson go. How about that? We'll do that here. So we're going on about 54 minutes. I'll hang out another 5 more minutes. So you guys keep firing up the questions. I want to just I like to dig. I like to just keep digging down these lists. So we just talked about Nerlens Noel. What do you guys think about Josh Hart? Josh Hart's a rebounding freak. Doesn't score a lot, but when he gets double-digit rebounds and he gets double-digit real life points, like that's when the numbers start to look fun. But he doesn't get double doubles. It's always one or the other here. So the thing about him is his minutes are consistent. He's averaging 24.1 points per game on the season, and then over the last 7 days, about 27. So if you're in a 12-man league, I think Josh Hart's probably a guy that needs to be owned. And so I guess some of my philosophies with fantasy basketball is I don't look at it game to game. I look at a guy for like a week, because I like to pick up a guy that's got 4 games for a week, or if I'm looking at him and he's got 3 games in 4 days kind of thing. Josh Hart, he'll do pretty fine for you. You just gotta get through that one floor game. He's got a 19, a 17, a 9, a 16. He'll do that every now and then, but he's going to deliver a couple 30s and maybe a 40-point game for you. So I like Josh Hart kind of a lot. Danny Green's been playing some really good ball, but it looks like he's kind of calming down. I don't like the minutes going down. So maybe we stay away from Danny Green for a little bit. There's the Reggie Jackson. Jalen Brunson. Wow. This was with Luka the other night, too. 33 minutes, 21 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. This might be something to keep an eye on. The scoring starting to, you look at the 4 of the last 5 games, the scoring's heating up. He's a pretty good ball distributor and good rebounder, too. Let's keep an eye on Jalen Brunson here. Mikal Bridges, Daniel Gafford here. Had 2 really right ankle sprain. He's going to be reevaluated in 10 days. Never mind. What's up with Eric Bledsoe? He's probably going to have a good game tonight with all those guys out. I don't trust it. For tonight, he'll be fine, but I don't trust it. He gets minutes and he kind of delivers some spotty games here. Paul Millsap. I talked about Millsap. I think on Monday night. Millsap's fine in a 12-man league. I don't love it. He doesn't have he's got a high floor, I guess. But I think I would rather look elsewhere. We like Kevin Porter Jr., Marcus Morris Sr. Day to day. What's going on with him? Calf injury. TJ McConnell, man, the assist extraordinaire. So he's only 47% owned. And I think I'm totally fine with letting him sit in my lineup. This is just kind of like a rare occurrence, a friggin' 3-point game. I would pick up TJ McConnell in a 10-man league. He's averaging 25 points per game on the season. Last 7 days, pretty much the same. So I like the consistency there. How's Karis LeVert been hanging with Indiana? Looking great. 92% owned. I just haven't looked at the numbers. I like Karis. There's Gary Trent Jr., Wendell Carter Jr. If Mike is still listening, I think this is a guy that on a team like Orlando, man, if he starts putting up 25, 26 plus minutes per game, his numbers are going to look really nice. In only 18 minutes against the Clippers the other night, 11 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks. So that's Wendell Carter Jr. I like quite a bit here. So now we're looking at a lot of guys that are available. So I don't know, man. This was a fun show tonight, though. Let me just check out let's check out some of the scores going on right now. So Brooklyn and Charlotte have begun. Brooklyn just getting it done. And there's Aldridge, 2 points, 3 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal. What's Aldridge's ownership? Pick him up. 54%. He's got 10 points in 7 minutes. Aldridge should be owned in 10 and 12-man leagues. So only 54% owned. Go pick him up. We talking RJ Barrett? He's been kind of frustrating lately. He kind of had like a slow month at the beginning here. Or I think that was late February before the All-Star break even. Yeah, I do trust. I trust the Knicks to continue to play him a crap ton of minutes. So I'm fine. I do trust RJ Barrett. I would like him to. It just feels like he's on the verge of putting up some monster numbers here. So, yeah, I do like RJ Barrett. I think we can trust him. But I just wanted to look at these numbers real quick. So, Jeff Green popping in 10 points, 5 rebounds tonight so far. It's kind of an interesting lineup with no Harden and Kevin Durant. Like, they're still a pretty good team. Interesting. Let's take a look at these the Cleveland Cavs numbers. Seth Curry still doing good. Shake Milton playing pretty good. So in 15 minutes, Kevin Love's got 13 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. We'll see if he can keep himself put together there. And then this Hartenstein, Isaiah Hartenstein, in 11 minutes, he's got 6 points, 2 blocks, and 6 rebounds. This looks like a guy that could potentially, butt into Larry Nance numbers, could butt into Kevin Love numbers. even Jared Allen could, see reduced minutes if they like this Isaiah Hartenstein playing a lot of minutes, man. And then let's just check out Detroit and Washington real quick before I sign off. Rui Hachimura, man, 8 points, 2 boards, 1 assist. Let's keep it going. Justin Jackson with 19 points. He had 0 points the other night, so maybe he's getting hot here. He's 3 of 4 from 3, 8 for 12 shooting, 3 assists, 1 rebound. Keep an eye on Josh Jackson, guys. I think he could be. I don't know. He's been useful at times this year, so just keep an eye on him going forward. But I think that's going to do it for tonight's show. We're over the hour, so I'll be back next Tuesday night for sure. I'll put out my waiver wire video on Monday. I think I'll put it out on Sunday night. Get that out early to you guys. So thank you, everyone in the chat room. Thanks, Aiden. Thank you, Mike. And where's our guy, Rudolph's here? Thank you, man. But have a good one. We'll see you guys in another video. Sweet. Peace.